by train. We had an engine, a coal car, two Pullman cars, a baggage car, and a little, what do we call it, a little friendship car. So we were all assigned a berth in the Pullman cars, and we would get to a town, and they'd pull into the yard, the railroad yard. We would get out and get dressed and go out and have breakfast or something. And the crew, we had a full crew with us. They had the stage manager, the electrician, the stage hands, and they would go to the baggage car, and we had all of our equipment, the instruments, the props, the costumes, and all the stage settings were in that car. They would go to the auditorium and set up the stage with all of the props and take all the instruments and go there. Then we would show up about a half hour before the show and get started, put our costumes on, do our show. After the show, we change our clothes, go back, have a dinner or something, a snack, and they would take all the equipment back into the car, load it up. That night we get into the car, the train, go to the next town, and start again. In 365 days, we played 321 towns. Wow. And we never missed a performance. We were there on the railroad tracks when they had floods. We were there when the tracks fell apart. And then, one of the most frightening parts, we were going into the station in Chicago, and we're all in our berths trying to rest, and they came into the train and they put the brakes on going into the station, and the brakes didn't hold. Ooh. And they had this big standard safety guard there, yeah. And the train came in and hit that thing, and we all fell out of bed. Wow. And that's frightening. And then when we were in Iowa, we were there for the floods. We were the last train out of the town before the floods came over and covered the tracks. But so we're so fortunate, I think, in all those years, to never have missed a performance. We were late to a performance one time, so we went ahead, before the people set the stage up, we went ahead and the musicians went, and we started playing a little jazz. They brought the props in and the stage stuff, and they set up the stage, and we played the full show. We didn't miss a number, anything. We played the show and left that night. But again, in all those years, to never have missed a performance. And we were doing radio shows and television shows all those years, whether we were in New York or LA, wherever we were, we kept up with our radio shows. It was a blessing. And our radio shows with Spike, we had the pleasure of playing with Frank Sinatra. And Fred Astaire, my favorite Fred Astaire. We were playing, and Fred Astaire was a guest on the show, so we were playing, and Fred Astaire was standing in the hallway, or in the doorway. One of his great, he'd always have his arms crossed, and he's watching me play. And I got a little bit, I said, Mr. Astaire, I said, what is it? No, Joe, he said, I'm watching. He said, I want to do a drum number. And he said, I'm watching your coordination between your hands and your feet. So I said, fine. Later on, I don't know if you saw Easter Parade with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. He did a number where he goes into the music store and he plays on the drums and tap dances and hit the drums at the head of his feet. He did fantastic. I didn't realize he had a drum set at home and he played the drum, but he was so generous with his, and being kind to me and not trying to overshadow me. But that was one of my greatest experiences, to be exposed to Fred Astaire. And then